Well, guys, I've got to say, this has been a very good week. Very good week. And we've got a lot to go over. But before we do, be sure to like and retweet the room, share it everywhere, make sure that everyone's here. What's a community update space? If the community is not present, right? I always say that. I will continue to always say that. Let's get it popping. Today, I also posted a thread on my thesis for Stonks, why I'm bullish on it, uh, from a charting perspective and also everything else, the thesis, the all encompassing thesis. So be sure to check that out as well. But right now, be sure to like and retweet the room, get everybody in here. I set off the mention bot in the Telegram. So if you guys could go on the Telegram and spam join the space so that people aren't confused, that would probably be helpful. Yeah, it's just a bunch of black dots, the new mention bot, so it's less messy. I don't know how I feel about it yet, though. I don't know how I feel about it. It hasn't been the same without Saucy just spamming the mention all button, but it's been good. It's been a good week. It's been a very chill week. Um, we made new local highs at the beginning of the week. This is last week, obviously. We made new local highs at the beginning of last week, like Sunday night, I think, and we've been ranging at these highs for 8 days now, and it's been good. It's been good. This is exactly what you want to see. This is the structured move up, and there's nothing more bullish than a structured move up. Buy pressure is rising. People are becoming more willing to buy at higher levels, and RSI is getting a chance to cool off, right? Like right now, I think the RSI is at. Let me look at it real quickly. We still haven't started yet, by the way. I'm just kind of giving a pregame talk. What's the RSI at? Let me pull up my RSI on the daily. It is at 57. That's fantastic. Just a couple days ago, when we made that high, it got up to 83, which is extremely overheated. I always, well, not on stonks, but on everything else, just about. I usually take profits whenever it's above like 70 RSI, and that's my main TP zone. And I never take like full profits there. I never cut it because usually when it's above 70 RSI, you might get a blow off top or a dramatic move to the upside, which is exactly what happened for us. We got a dramatic move to the upside, not a blow off top, because it's still been structured. Um, but usually I start shaving above 70 RSI, so it's good to see us back below 70 at like 57, 58. That means that there's plenty of room for us to grow. Also, if you look at the RSI, like look at the local low on September 7th, October 3rd, and now the 23rd of October. Yes, or 21st of October. Look at that. Look at that line. I don't know if you guys are looking at it too, but it just kind of lines up perfectly. So, everything is very structured. Everything looks super strong, and I'm super excited. I'm super, super excited. Um, all right, I think we're just about ready to start. Has everyone liked and retweet the room? We have 19 retweets. Dope. 34 people here, 19 retweets. We can do a little bit better. But thanks everyone for coming. Shout out Dwad Lane. I see you down there. You've been posting some fire songs content on YouTube. It's cool to see, and on Twitter. But I mean, on YouTube, it's cool to see. Well, let's get this started. So, what we usually structure these spaces as is first we do a market update, and then we do like a Stonks chart update, and then our immediate plan, long-term goals, etc. And we usually do a open Q&A and let people on stage as well afterwards. So let's get right into it. So in the past week, we've seen Bitcoin go from It's currently at 67K, 67,300 looks like. And a week ago was what? What is the date? Today's the 21st, so let's look at the 13th. Okay, cool. So we were sitting at like 62K this time last week, uh, and we breached 69K yesterday, which is insane, absolutely insane. We've had multiple breaks of structure to the upside, which is again insane. And it's been a great week. It's been a great week. Bitcoin is doing Bitcoin things. It's finally time to leave the range. I expect Bitcoin to kind of hang around here for a couple more days, but I really do think that this week we should solidly close above 70K. Worst case, I could see us coming down to 66K, maybe 64 and a half K, if we have a small retracement from Bitcoin. But if that happens, it's just another chance to buy all your conviction plays. Um, I'm not really worried about it. I'm not really worried about it because the Bitcoin breakout is already here. We've made one, two, three higher lows now. We've made two higher highs, and it really doesn't get better than this. Like, it's confirmed breakout of a bull flag. Um, so there's nothing to worry about. So any pullbacks that we get, you should be hoping for pullbacks. You should be begging for pullbacks because we're guaranteed basically for higher. So the only thing that matters is the destination. The destination has been confirmed for at least another all-time high. And if we're guaranteed to get another all-time high, then the only thing that you should want is to go lower in the short term so that you can get more buy-ins, right, with low risk. Because right now there's not that much risk to buying something like your stonks or a bobo wolf, whatever it is that you're buying. There's not that much risk compared to before we made a single higher low, right? So you should be wanting for a dip. You shouldn't be scared of a dip. You should be wanting it. Be confident in your Bitcoin TA skills, and you don't need much. You don't need many Bitcoin TA skills in order to identify a bull flag, right? It's a normie trend line, or it's a normie schematic, or whatever you want to call it, normie structure. Anyone can identify it. If you don't know what a bull flag is, look up bull flag schematic on Google. You'll see pictures of it. It's literally exactly what Bitcoin is. And to people who say, "Oh, we haven't made a higher high yet. We haven't. We're not in a structured uptrend." Well, like, you look at their posts when we were at, like, what is it? When we were around like 53K, around our first higher low, right? Um, those people were calling for 65K as another lower high. Those people were saying that 65K is a lower high when we made that in August, late August. But now they're saying, "Oh no, that's not a higher high after breaking 65K because this is just one structured move up in the bull flag," right? Those people, respectfully, they're not very smart. They're trying to steal your liquidity, right? They want you to not buy in until we break out of the Bitcoin range, and then they'll have you FOMO in. A lot of these big names are paid by market makers and big institutions to FUD on the timeline in order to keep prices low. So you can't really trust these people. I saw a post today by Credible. I thought it was hilarious. And he was saying that, "Oh no, we need to break 69,500, which is the higher high that that's the higher high that we made a few days ago." So he's like, "No, that's a higher low after the high made in late July." It's like, yeah, it is lower than the high that we made in July, but it's higher than the highs that we made in September and in August. So people will just ignore it and they'll say, "No, no, it's not a higher high yet. It's a higher low." And they're either idiots or they're playing you. All right. So don't trust those people. If it looks like a bull flag, it smells like a bull flag, it's probably a bull flag. And another indicator that I like to use is, it's a less traditional one, but it's just on-chain activity, right? Crypto is driven largely by algorithms and by liquidity, and you can measure that on-chain activity, as well as how risk on the market is. And because algorithms drive these chains, they decide when Bitcoin's low is in, and when they do that, they start bidding more risk on things. Um, as it goes on. If you're running an algorithm and you have tens of billions of dollars in this thing, which some of these institutions have, you're going to want to be bidding risk on as you decide that the bottom is in. That's just how it works. That's how these people make money. And so you look at on-chain metrics, you see stuff like Pepe. Pepe broke out of its falling wedge, right? You look at Pepe's ETH pair, which also broke out. You look at things like Stonks. Like Stonks is nearing all-time highs. Uh, like on-chain is popping again in a way that it hasn't popped since like June-ish. So we're extremely bullish now. On-chain is giving us the green light. Bitcoin's just normie structure is giving us the green light. Everything looks good. So long story short, if we get a smaller dip on Bitcoin to 66, maybe 64K, it's a blessing. All right, that's another buying opportunity. And if you let the market makers shake you out, you're just going to regret it, because there's not a time that it's more obvious or more low risk to bid risk on assets. There's not a better time to do it. So that's what I'll say about the market. If you well, I'll talk about ETH a little bit as well. If you look at Ethereum, it's still below its range. Like its range is from about 2,800 to 4K, right? And it lost its structure. It's been below it ever since, which is fine. As long as Bitcoin is okay, then everything else is okay, even if it doesn't look okay. But we're starting to inch up to new highs for Ethereum, local highs. Like we made 2760 yesterday, which is a local higher high above 2713, which is good. We're starting to inch our way closer to 2800, and once we get above 2800, we will be in the CME gap territory, where Ethereum should just kind of fly. Like it should teleport from like 2800 to 3200 ish, 3000 to 3.2K. And I expect that to be just all in one candle, maybe two. And I expect that to be sometime this week. As soon as Bitcoin breaks out again, then, but like really breaks out above 70K, then you should see Ethereum break above 2,800 and thus 3,000. And when that happens, just imagine what's going to happen for Stonks, right? We've been operating on Ethereum when Ethereum is below its structure. And it's there's very little liquidity on chain. uh, Ethereum's just in a rough spot, and we've been flying, right? We are up. What is it like right now? I think we're up 8x from the lows, 9x, and we're doing great. We're doing great. We are hugely outperforming Ethereum. Actually, in the pinned post up top, you can see the thread that I made and the third chart that I posted. I believe it's on the fifth post in that thread. You'll see my Ethereum pair chart. And look how close we are to all-time highs there. It's insane. It's insane. So we look great. We've been outperforming ETH a ton. ETH looks ready to fly. Bitcoin looks ready to fly. And if we get a dip on Bitcoin, that is for bidding. And that's not just stonks. That's literally everything. Everything that you own, it's all going to go crazy soon, as long as it's not stupid and has a team that's, really present. Like it'll go up when Ethereum goes up. Now, I don't think everything will go up as much as everything else, which is something that I talked again in the pinned post in the thread that I made. Some memes are just better than others, and those will fly a lot faster and a lot harder. But I think we're in a good spot. Like literally everything, whatever your conviction plays are, bid them if Bitcoin dips. I really don't think it will. You know, I think this time, like maybe Thursday, Friday, we should see a Bitcoin breakout. Maybe on Wednesday even. I think it's imminent, and I think it's going to happen in just a giant candle. One or two just massive candles, and it's going to be great. So, I wouldn't sell anything to buy back lower because realistically, I don't think a dip on Bitcoin is the most likely. So I would just hold, and if you have extra stables or extra Ethereum to buy dips if dips happen, great. If you don't, I wouldn't panic because, even absolute worst case, a month from now, this time, like this time next month, I think we'll probably be above 100K Bitcoin, in my opinion, maybe 90K, but definitely at least 80K this time next month. I think things are about to get crazy, and I don't think people are really prepared for it. So everything's about to start flying. And that's also why I think Stonks is going to climb up to 300 mil this quarter. That's my target for this quarter. Long term, my target is about 6.5 billion, which I also explained in the thread that I made, pinned up top. But yeah, everything looks fantastic. Everything looks fantastic. And if we expect ETH, this is something that I said again in the pinned tweet up top. But for anyone who's listening in on Spotify or YouTube, like if ETH goes up to 8K, which I think is a very conservative number, I think it would make a lot more sense to see 10K ETH, maybe even 12K. But if we just see 8K ETH, right, that's about what a 3x from here. And on the Stonks ETH chart, let me pull it up real quick. On the Stonks ETH chart, the 2.618 fib, which from a time perspective, I think that's the most realistic for Stonks to hit. But the 2.618 fib is about a 137x from here. So I expect for us to do a 137x against ETH. So if you multiply 137 times 3, which is what we conservatively expect ETH to do, and you multiply that by our current market cap, we get about 6.6 billion market cap, which is also the logarithmic 2.618 again on the USD pair. So it's 6.5 billion on the USD pair, and at 8K ETH, it is 6.6 billion on the ETH pair. And I think that's really the most likely option. I think realistically, Stonks should hit at least 6.5 billion. But we could see higher. I think the meme itself deserves 20 to 50 billion. But I'm getting a little bit off track. Back to the Stonks chart. Okay, so on the Stonks chart, if we're looking at our 4 hour, pinned up top is in the thread. You'll see on the third page is my low time frame chart for Stonks. So I expect to see an all-time high sometime this month. So we got about 10 days before we hit an all-time high, worst case, in my opinion. Now, if Bitcoin does dip, it could chop around, around 67K for a little bit longer, at which case we wouldn't see an all-time high this month, or most likely wouldn't. But, if we don't see an all-time high this month, it should be within the first few days of next month. Like an all-time high is imminent. It's just as soon as we break out of this wedge. And so if you look at my chart in the third post, pinned up top to the room, you'll see, we've been doing this structured move to the upside where we break out of our previous higher high, we shoot up, we make a new local high, and retest the previous local high, and those are marked by white lines. So you can see in the white lines each previous higher high or local high and where we retest it. And two actual, like only twice now we've deviated below these white lines, and those are both circled in green. Um, Last time that this happened, it happened within 30 or 72 hours of a breakout, in which we shot up from 10.5 mil um, all the way to 24 mil in under 24 hours. So we pulled off a over 100% move the last time that we got this structure within 72 hours. So if this happens again, we should see a breakout within 72 hours within the next 3 days by the 24th, which happens to be a Thursday, Thursday night slash Friday morning, which is also the same time that I expect Bitcoin to break out. Funny how that lines up, right? And you should see us break out of this wedge again, pinned up top, third page or third post in the thread. Should break out of this wedge. I think we retest it. We should see 26 mil by the end of the day, that day, and then within the next 3, 4, 5 days following, I think we'll see 42 mil stonks. So all-time highs are imminent on a lower time frame. This looks fantastic. Like this is a classic cup and handle. Like it doesn't get more obvious than this. We it's call it a bull flag, call it a wedge, whatever you want to call it. Like this is clearly a very bullish accumulation range on a lower time frame between 26 and 15 mil. So everything looks fantastic. Like this is where you want to buy. My buy box has been between 15 and 17 million. So, in that range, 15 to 17 mil is my extreme discount range. That's where I've been buying. I've bought, 6 or 7 ETH down there. I'm a little bit dry. Otherwise, like in lower ranges, I've bought more, but I've been buying with what I can, absolutely shoving during that buy box because, you know, in the next few days, I think we'll see stonks 3 to 4 times higher than it is now, very very easily. So yeah, that's kind of what we're looking at on a lower time frame. On a higher time frame, which is the fourth post pinned in the thread above. Let me change the chart that I'm looking at. There we go. You'll see a nice rounded bottom for stonks, and we're bull flagging, so it looks extremely structured. Everything looks fantastic. Like it just lines up so perfectly. This looks a lot like the um, on a lower time frame. Wolf printed this exact same structure before it teleported from like 30 mil all the way up to 80 mil in just a few days. Like this is the same structure, but it's on a higher time frame. Like Wolf printed this on a lower time frame over the span of like 2, 3 weeks before shooting up, and but Stonks is doing this over the course of what is this 5 months now ish, like 4.5, 5 months. So like this is a massive, it's just a giant reaccumulation range. And as soon as we get above 42 mil, we should just reach escape velocity, and I think 300 mil will come extremely quickly. That's the next fib line. I have us hitting that on my chart about mid-November, late November. But I don't expect it to hit until later this quarter. But I do expect it this quarter. I think the 1.618 logarithmic fib this quarter is very realistic. I think it's likely. And then from there, we'll probably go into another range of a month, 2 months, who knows? Um, or we could just slice through, and who knows? It really just depends on who decides to buy in and at what levels. Like recently, we saw Max buy in from Because Bitcoin, and we saw Sikasa buy in. Those both had a significant impact on the chart immediately when they bought in, and I expect more people to buy in as the price goes up, kind of similarly to what you saw with Bobo and you saw with Wolf, and more people buy in, more people push it. So I guess it just depends on who gets behind it. Who knows? Murad will come in and start pushing it. I don't know when he started following me, so maybe he's in. I don't really know. But he did follow me at some point, which was kind of crazy. When I found that out, my heart kind of stopped for a moment. I was like, I didn't catch wind, so I don't know what this means. It could mean nothing, but it could mean a lot. He's in SPX, so he might be a fan of the whole TradFi narrative. And if that's the case, then with the 1.618 300 mil is going to be nothing. So it just kind of depends on what catalysts, like organic catalysts, not funded by the team, happen. Um, but I think relatively safely, I think it's safe to say that 300 mil this quarter, or 289 mil, whatever the fib is. So that's kind of my expectation as far as the chart goes. I I'm not doing something actively to pump the chart. I don't really believe in that, quote unquote. When my job is to create value for the project and continue to increase its value. And as that happens, the price drives up naturally. Creating a value gap is much more effective than getting a bunch of random KOLs and influencers to just pump it. And then people sell because there's no reason to hold it because there's no real value. Which is why, most KOLs do pump and dumps because people just go straight for the marketing before there's really anything to market, and it pumps and then it goes to zero. We're not about that at Stonks. If someone wants to come in and promote the project, they can buy their own bag, right? If these influencers are really as well off as they say, they shouldn't care about getting like 10 to 20K, 30, 50, who knows, to support a project. They can just buy. All right. Um, and that's kind of that as far as the chart goes. And I will say again, like low time frame buying zones until we break out of this wedge. I would say really shoot for 15 to 17 mil. That's kind of my shove box. So every time it gets in that range, I just kind of shove. But higher than that as well is still incredibly bullish. For a confirmed breakout, I would want to see us above 22.2 mil. So if you're sidelined or you're buying in that 15 to 17 mil range, and you don't know what your top side invalidation is because you're buying in that buy box, and whenever it bounces out of the buy box, it usually comes back into the buy box. So when do you just shove when it's outside of the buy box? I would say that's above 22.2 mil. If you have sideline capital looking for an entry on Stonks and it's above 22.2 mil, you're probably not going to get the entry that you're looking for. That would be a low time frame higher high, which means that we've broken out of our bull flag and we should see prices above 26.7 or 26.8, whatever it is. Uh, the previous local high, we should see prices above that soon. And when that does happen, I expect us to kind of shoot up to 42 mil rather quickly, and then probably come back down and retest 27. If we're keeping it consistent with this pattern of retesting previous local highs. But we might not happen because once we reach an all-time high, that'll be escape velocity within grasp, and you don't want to look for a pullback when a breakout that's been 5 months in the making is pennies away from happening. So it's a risky game looking for a pullback. I would just you know I would just keep on buying, not count on a pullback to 27 after we make that next all-time high. Cool. So I think that's everything as far as the chart goes. Again, if you guys want to see a more in-depth breakdown on what I'm looking at in the charts, look at the pinned post up top. It's a thread. Posts 3 through 5 are all about charts and TA. And then 6 through 9 is all about narrative, the team, and the community, and like why, like the reasons why the charts will hit those certain numbers. Because from a TA perspective, yes, it's like if things continue the way that they do and momentum continues to build, as it has been for the past few months, then we should hit the 2.618 fib. But like why would momentum continue building, and how do we know that the momentum wouldn't just drop off with the team leaving or someone on the team selling or etc. That's what the rest of the post is for. So like, there's the technical reasons why we're pumping, and then here's the reasons why the technicals are playing out. So definitely, again, go check that out if you want to see a more in-depth chart analysis on stonks. That's where you want to look. So as far as what we have next, I'm sure multiple of you guys saw the AscendEX account, which is a tier two exchange. It's very similar in size and value as Bitmart and LBank. So those are both a little bit more well known, but AscendEX is very similar in ranking, and in volume and in size. So their Twitter account actually commented under one of our posts recently and said, "Hey, get in our DMs. We want to list you." And we kind of haggled with them among other exchanges. Like, we've got a list, like over a dozen exchanges that want to list us, just like AscendEX, and they're willing to pay virtually, you know, nothing, or they're willing to list for virtually free, um, for these listings, and it's great. We're just not looking to do that right now. We're planning on doing that a little bit higher. We don't need to do that right now. There's no real point. But once we're around all-time highs and higher, we will be on a listing spree. Just absolutely, just one, maybe two a week for months, right? And I'm I'm looking forward to that a lot. It's gonna be fun. I missed the exchange game, but we're also in the process of switching market makers. But there's just issues with algorithms for exchanges because of the SEC cracking down on market makers. Like, you saw the indictments with Gotbit and CLS and a handful of others. They're all getting in trouble for using wash trading on exchanges, which is kind of important. You need wash trading in order for the chart to have full candles instead of just flat lines at points. But they're getting in trouble for it. Apparently, it's illegal. Probably because they're faking volume. Um, but yeah, so we're in the process of changing market makers. We've got a very special one in mind. But with those problems with exchanges, it's moving a little bit slowly. So once we're above all-time highs, we'll really start pumping out these listings, and we're looking forward to that a lot. We've got a lot of utility and partnership plans as well. And when I say utility, don't I mean that very lightly. It's more of like a box you need to check in order to get on Coinbase, because Coinbase only lists utility tokens, which is why they haven't listed Pepe, because it's not a utility token. Because utility tokens, there's very clear set regulations on what they are. So you know that's the safest thing for them to go with. So they only list utility tokens, and we've got some utility planned. We're building out a cross chain swapper function, so it wouldn't just be like you connect your wallet and then you swap your Ethereum for Stonks. Nope, you would be able to swap literally anything for Stonks. So you could use your debit card to buy Stonks directly without having to buy ETH or anything like that. You could use your, I don't know, AVAX to buy Stonks. So like, we have a very unique partnership for that planned out. We're just waiting to pay for it again, kind of like the exchanges. We're waiting to pay for it until price gets a little bit higher, because we know it will imminently, and we don't necessarily need these listings to pump it higher. So um, we're very confident in the chart strength. So we should be fine in that regard. Um, we've got some other partnerships that I can't really leak yet. Some of the whales know, some of them don't. Um, but there's a lot of interesting things cooking. Just stay tuned for 2 weeks, 3 weeks, and you'll see what I'm talking about. I'm super excited for those. The Jungle Bay art competition, by the way, just ended. There's a lot of really cool submissions, and I hope those artists got a good bag of stonks to set them up for the bull run. We donated about $5,000. Between Saucy and I, it was actually about $6,000. and that that amount got up to like 25K, I think, um, at the time of whenever we were at like 26 mil or something like that. It was like 25K plus. So I'm sure a lot of artists were very happy with it, and I'm excited to see them win. Um, what else is there? What else is there? You know, we've got a lot of animations in the work. We're trying to keep them reserved for a little bit, build up our repertoire a little bit. Um, and that's kind of it as far as what we're planning, that I can share anyways. I can't really share everything, but you guys don't want to hear me talk about how there's a really cool thing in the works, but I can't tell you what it is. Like I can't just do that for 5 minutes. But there is a lot in the works. It's all very cool. Um, and yeah, I think that's about it for now. Saucy, how's it going? Welcome to the stage, man.
Well, what's up, guys? I'll tell you what it is. So, I'm just kidding. I'm kidding. I can't. I won't. Some I don't know. I don't even know if I know, honestly. Um, Shit's been crazy. Sorry I'm late, but I am super excited about some things, and um, I think I've fallen into some relationships that I think are going to be super beneficial too. So I'm pretty excited. Shout out to Sikasa, Jungle Bay, and those artists. I know. I know that during the content accumulation phase. I mean, that's what we went through there for a while. We kind of hit a content accumulation phase, and we worked with a lot of really talented artists. Um, I think one of the main ones being Laground. Shut the fuck you see my fucking Nick VRNN. Okay. Um, and in that process, some of these artists did acquire bags as well. At 2-3 million, and it's cool to see him on the timeline, excited. It's cool to see these, like, I don't know. It's just cool when people, some of these guys are going to hold their bags and they're going to hold it to 100 mil, 500 mil, like they might even hold it to 1 billion, and it's going to change their lives. And much like it does ours. So I'm really excited about that. If you haven't gotten a chance to go and take a gander at all the art that uh, Jungle Bay Art Comp 18 produced, you should. I would implore you to go ahead and blow it up on a PC or something like that. Save it, blow it up, look through it. Some of the coolest shit ever. And it was super heartwarming to see a lot of those artists just embrace our project and our community and put some thought into it. So it was really cool. Shout out to Marlocos and who else? Filthy Tricks and Ink. Were they the ones that tied? Just off the top of my head, I think. Um, I think so. But yeah, shout out to
I think
them.
so as well.
You like Guardian. This was something that I'm super happy that we managed to become a part of, right? And I know that you're super happy. This is something that is really cool. So the other thing that I wanted to just press upon you guys is that we've had a state of euphoria, but we're just getting started. So I'm going to keep adding people to the group chat, um, and we're going to keep focusing on building communities. I, I'm seeing more and more people with the Stonks background and chiming in, and I'm seeing a lot of people that are finding a home for themselves, and it's just a really cool feeling. So we've got to make sure that as Stonks Maxis and the Stonks community, that we get out there and we continue to welcome people with open arms and share our content and share our gifts and share our community. We have a really, really awesome grassroots meme coin here that is going to stand the test of time, and I truly believe that. So with the plans of the very smart plans. This is very fucking smart plans to wait until we're at all-time highs and we're coming back up to deploy resources for the necessities that comes with trying to build a billion-dollar project, right? The listings and the market maker, all that shit, right? It's very smart for us to wait until all-time highs where resources are more abundant. So we're going to have to realize that for us to continue to push up and hit that next level, it's still our job. I mean, we're still 90% of the work. And by us, I mean the community. We need to be getting out there and bull posting and sharing the art and, having a lot of fun. And I'm comfortable preaching this to you guys because I'm comfortable with the project. I'm comfortable with Guardian as a leader. I'm comfortable with the team with Maple and Dom and Reese and Ace. I'm comfortable saying, you know what, I don't think these guys are gonna fucking rug me, is what I'm saying. Now they might, not financial advice. If they do, blame them, not me. Um, but you know, we all have to stick our flag somewhere if we want to make um some life-changing shit happen this cycle. And I'm very proud to work along these guys. So that's just kind of my piece. Now the coolest thing about what has happened in the last couple of weeks is now we find a spot where we can really credibly lift off from. And so let's all get to fucking work when it comes to that.
100%, dude. 100%. Um, and dude, like, you know what's super encouraging for to me? We we gapped up like what was it? 10 mil, 10 like 10 and a half mil to 26 mil in like 36 hours less than. And we've been holding it. Like, we've been really holding it. We've stayed above our previous local range, and we've been in this zone for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and today is the ninth candle in this area, and we've been holding it. All right, like, it's insane to me to see prices at these levels, and like nobody's selling, which is super refreshing, and it's a breath of fresh air compared to the local highs at August 10th ish, and July 10th ish, and even that shoulder that we had around June 15th to June 20th, right? Like, we weren't really holding like we are now. Though that was not a structured move to the upside. That was kind of like a low structure, just kind of struggle, right? And that's not what this is. This is a high volume, really. Like, it's a high volume. We've been like between 300K volume, even upwards of 1.4 mil. Like, usually sitting around that 3 to 400K volume per day. We've just been eating all the sell pressure. And right, if there was no buys and we had even 300K volume, 300K in sell pressure, that would send us to zero, right? That's 30 million market cap worth of sell pressure. So like, their buyers are here, and buyers are respecting the price up here, and they're recognizing the value up here, whereas previous pumps, it had been just like old holders buying more and no new holders stepping in. But here there really is new holders stepping in, and these people, they're buying, like, they're buying a lot, and they're absorbing sell pressure. So like, it's been super bullish to see. It's exactly what you want to see on the chart. um, and like, with the range around the 15th of June all the way to the 3rd of July, right? If you look in that range, there's these massive wicks all over the place. In one day we'd go from like 13 mil down to 2 mil, and then close the day at 12 mil. Like, what on earth are we talking about? And then the next day, or 2 days later, we would be at like, we'd open at 13 mil, wick all the way to 30 mil, and then close at like 20 mil, and then like a couple days later we'd be down to 8 mil. Like, it is really random price action, not very much structure. And like, there wasn't that much buy pressure whenever there was massive amounts of sell pressure, and there wasn't massive amounts of sell pressure whenever there was buy pressure. It's super uneven and not very structured, and that's not healthy for a chart. That's just people getting rinsed. But like, this is a really clear bull flag. that we've got on the chart going on right now. This looks super healthy, super structured, consistent volume, and it just looks fantastic. It looks fantastic. It tells me that there's plenty of room to the upside, that we can move higher imminently. Right, every day there's a little bit less sell pressure. Like at the past few days, we've like on the 18th, the 19th, and the 20th, we hit daily. We hit our upper trend line in this bull flag. If you look at my high time frame chart, not the ETH pair, but the dollar pair, like we've hit the upper trend line in this range 3 times in those 3 days. Right, so buyers are stepping in, and it's increasing with every day. It looks better every day, and yeah, like every day there's more buy pressure compared to sell pressure. So we're showing consistent strength, increasing strength, and yeah, this is just exactly what you want to see. It looks perfect to me. It looks perfect. There's no other way to describe it. And that nice rounded bottom as well. It's so healthy, so structured, so consistent, and I think it's setting us up really well for that 298 mil by this quarter. So like, who doesn't want a 20x? Like that's a 20x, guys. This quarter, that's pretty insane. Like imagine putting in 10K and getting 200K out of it in 2 months. Like that's still kind of wild to me. Uh, with with how desensitized I am at this point, it's still kind of wild to me, and it's relatively low risk too. Like we know Bitcoin is going to break out. Worst case, Stonks doesn't get to 289 mil, and it gets up to like 200 mil. It's like wow, we still got like over a 10x, right? I don't understand why anyone wouldn't buy right now. And this is not financial advice, of course, but like guys, Bitcoin is breaking out. It's time to turn off your brain, right? Like there's that IQ bell curve, and you got brainlet on one side, and you got big brain on the other side, and then you just have a normal person in the middle. Don't be the normal person. Don't stress yourself out and try and be the big brain either. Just left curve it. Turn off your brain. Bitcoin is breaking out, so you bid on chain beta. That's literally, it doesn't get more simple than that. And whatever your thing is, if it's Stonks, if it's Bobo, Wolf, Andy, Pepe, literally whatever it is, like this is just the time to bid. Bitcoin is breaking out. Left curve it. Buy.